distractions. Good evening, everybody. Just a quick release notes video. We've got some major changes happening to Tornelo coming out any day now, and just wanted to give you a quick walkthrough of those changes. So here we are in Tornelo on our staging environment, and we're going to show you some of those changes. So the first change that we've made is we've included the FIDE ratings list into Tornelo. So now the first thing we want to do is we want to just import this list of players into the tournament. So we've got a name and a FIDE ID. That's all the information we need, and we'll be able to get everything we need just from that. So we're going to upload the entries as a CSV file into the tournament. We're going to choose which division we want those players to be uploaded to. And we're going to select our CSV file. This will show us the players with their FIDE ID. Okay, each of the players that we're importing, and we'll import all of those players into the tournament. So once the players are imported into the tournament, we will capture all of the FIDE information that we've got, and you've got your titles and your flags and your players' details, years of birth and gender and rating if we have it all in the system. So there you have a simple import process. The next thing that we can do, which connects to the FIDE ID, is the add player. And when you add a player, you can just take an individual ID, and we can type that ID in. And by typing that ID into Tornelo, it will search and find that player, and you can add a player by a FIDE ID. You can also add a player by name from the Tornelo database. So if they're already in Tornelo, if they've already played before, you'll be able to add their name into the tournament. You can also create new players from here. Okay, so let's create Basil Brush as a new player. And when we create a new player, we'll be able to update, actually he's a fox. We'll be able to update all of their information. Basil Brush is probably from the 80s, I reckon. If you add an email address into the email address field, that will email the player, create their account for them, set their account up, so they just need to use that email address to sign in. So we can add players into the tournament manually this way as well. Okay, so here we have our players entered into the tournament. The next change that we'll look at is how the header bar here has changed a little bit. So previously it was a little bit lower down. We've now got the notifications all in the header bar. So the header bar, this notifications, this message area here, you should always be looking for a blue button, and everything that you see on that blue button, just every time you see that blue button, you click on it. That's basically what you need to do. Click on the blue button and you'll be in the right spot. So when we get to this tournament page for the first time as a guest, it will tell us, okay, if I sign out, if we get here as a guest, it will tell you you are signed out. Okay, so we come here, you're signed out, and it asks you to sign in. So always just checking that blue button on the top of the page. We sign in. Once we're signed in, it'll tell us that we're a spectator, but we can enter the tournament if we want to. So we click the play button. We can either enter the event, or we can use the Arbiter token system if the name is already in the event. So if my name's already in the event, I can say, oh yeah, there I am, I'm Basil Brush. I'm going to go and I'm going to use the Arbiter token. Right, if I want to enter the tournament, I can click enter now, and I'll go through the normal entry process. Okay, and there I am, entered into the tournament. Once you're entered into the tournament, you will see the familiar, not quite happy face at the top, and be asked to check in. It tells us very clearly that we're a player in the tournament, which means we're ready to go. Ticking the box will check me in, I get the happy face, and I'm ready to play. Okay. From the Arbiter's point of view, things working the same in the pairings program as they have. There's no changes to the pairings program. Remember, we're still slowly deprecating the pairings program. We're slowly retiring this. So over time, this will go away. So we're going to now do the pairings for the first round. All right, pairings for the first round are done. And our player here sees the familiar message at the top, play now. And they're ready to play their game. Got a Zoom button still at the top of the page here, so you can join your game. Once you join the game, there will be some minor changes in the game. So let's just show you the changes to the game board. Okay, once both players are connected, you're able to start the game. So the Arbiter Chat button has moved. This is an important one. It used to be on the left-hand side somewhere, but for everybody, it will now be below the board. There's an Arbiter Chat window here and a Call Arbiter button. So you click the Call Arbiter button, stops the game, calls the Arbiter. You'll notice here that the Arbiter in this tournament has set the settings so that they can change the message that the player sees automatically, and they've got a message in a different language, which is pretty handy. Okay, so the Arbiter Chat pops up here. For the player, the opponent has called the Arbiter, they'll start seeing the Arbiter Chat flashing. They'll be able to open that up and see what's going on. For the Arbiter, the Arbiter will see an Arbiter Chat message in the header bar as well. They click on that, visit the game, and they'll see the message that's popped up. When the players send messages, the Arbiter will be able to respond as normal. Okay, and continue the game. So Arbiters, be aware that your Arbiter Chat messages are now in a new place, a new location as well. Okay, so Arbiter's controls are in that corner of the board. All right, we have a couple of other features. If you are playing a game and the settings allow it, so game preferences, we've now got streamer mode to allow game annotations. So as you're playing a game, you could be talking and saying, oh, I'm going to be moving my pawn to c5 in the next move, and that's going to be a good idea because I'm going to control the center of the board here, and you can highlight squares and draw arrows on the board. The controls for these square highlights are the same as you would be familiar with for other platforms. So we're right-clicking to highlight squares, we're left-clicking to clear it, and we are holding down either the Shift right-click, Control right-click, Alt right-click, or just a simple right-click in order to use different colors. So it's a click and drag for an arrow, and it's a click for a square, either holding down a different color button, and it's a left click to get rid of it. All right, so streamers can use those controls if the tournament organizers allow it. Okay, so the tournament organizer in our settings has the ability to allow players or disallow players to draw highlights during their games. Okay, we have okay, we also have the same sort of view here for a spectator. When a spectator is watching the game, let's go to this game now, signed out as a spectator. The spectator's got a few new buttons on the game board. You can watch from the opposite side of the board. You can download a PGN file if you want to download a PGN, or you can also be a streamer and draw arrows and so forth on the board. Okay, right, you can flip the board if you need to. You're also able to click this Analyze button. When you click the Analyze button, you can actually move pieces around the board. Obviously, it's not going to impact the players, but you can draw arrows and move pieces as you're analyzing the game. And so you could be offering, and there's no legal moves are not required, so it's just any piece can move anywhere in order to commentate, broadcast, stream, whatever it is you're doing to discuss your game. So we switch off the analysis mode. Okay, the next big change, big improvement that we have is the actual tournament settings form. Okay, so for arbiters, let's close this one down. We've clicked edit on the tournament form, and now our tournament form, our new tournament form looks like this, whether you're creating a new tournament, editing your tournament settings, or cloning a tournament, that is duplicating a tournament at the end if you want the same tournament to show up. So this new tournament form, it's got a required details in the front page, and then everything else is optional. All right, all of these other steps are optional. The formats, the data hasn't changed from before. It's just laid out in a much more user-friendly manner. So you'll be able to go through and change things that you need to change from this menu. Here we have our privacy settings, and there's a new privacy setting which is showing up here, which is exposed. An exposed tournament will allow you to force all of the players' privacy settings to be ignored while your tournament's in progress. You can read more about that just here. The last thing that we've got is this ratings section. We will talk more about this in some other videos, but you're able to now select whether you want the tournament to be played under Tornelo profiles or FIDE profiles. Okay, if you select FIDE, then in the tournament lobby, all of the names will be displayed as per the FIDE ratings list. So we're connected now to the FIDE ratings list, as you saw before. Okay, so we can enter a player into a tournament simply by adding their FIDE ID, and we will then be using all of the players' FIDE names into the tournament here. So you won't be able to edit the players' FIDE names. This is their FIDE ID. It's all linked together, and those names will be displayed for everybody during the tournament. All right. Another thing that we'll talk about later on is series. This is a super cool feature, which is probably more than we've got time to go into today, but it will allow you to string all of your tournaments together in some way. Okay, you can string all your tournaments together, and you'll have one URL which will link to every tournament in the future. All right, so that's the super cool feature that we've got. You'll see how that works in some future videos. That's all for now. I hope you enjoy your new tournament form, the new game board, the new streamer controls, the new location for your Arbiter button, and keep enjoying using Tornelo for your online hybrid or over-the-board chess tournaments.